Okay, in this video we're going to be covering a topic which comes up in year 12, but we're going to be covering it now because it's something that you look at when you look at substituent groups with alkanes. So in particular we're going to look at amines, and then we're going to also compare them to amides, which is a really important distinction that you have to be able to make in year 12. So an amine is when the substituent group on the alkyl chain is an NH2 group like this, or it can be an NH group where it's bridging between two different alkyl groups, or it can be an N in the middle of three different alkyl groups. So we call these primaries, secondaries and tertiary amines, and depending on the number of alkyl groups in between them, so there's 1, 2, there's 1, 2, 3, and here is just 1. That's how we determine the degrees. So if we look at these three amines here, have a go, pause the video and see if you can work out the degrees of these. So if you look at this amine group here, you can see that it's attached to just one alkyl group, which is actually a methyl group there. So that's a primary amine. This one here is attached to two alkyl groups, which are both methyl groups again. So this is a secondary. And then this one here, 1, 2, 3, is attached to the end. So there's actually no H's on the end now. And that's a tertiary. So naming these amines has an IUPAC set of rules, as all of them do. So in this case, it's a suffix at the end of the rest of the chemicals. So here we can see that we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If we number it that way, it will be on the 4 position. So actually we're going to renumber it the other way, 1, 4, 5, to get the lowest possible numbers. So that's a pentane structure there. And so the amino group is on the 2 position. So it's pent and 2. With the next one, we can see that there are let's number it from this side this time, 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, it's on the 2 position. There's 4, so it's a butan, 2 amine. So that's how you name those two. If you have any extra substituent groups, you just add them on as prefixes, like methyl or... Okay, now if we just look at the role of these in nature, one of the most notable roles is as biogenic amines, they're called, as neurotransmitters. So you'll remember from year 9 science that neurotransmitters are important in transmitting messages across the synapse, which is between the neuron and one neuron and another neuron. And the neurotransmitters sort of float between the two in a sort of solution, and the concentrations of those neurotransmitters it varies, and the body uses it as a way of regulating things like mood and all sorts of other things, including sleep, arousal, reinforcement, heart rate, blood pressure, you name it. It's probably governed somewhere along the lines by neurotransmitters. And there's three really famous three really well-known neurotransmitters, serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, and they are actually really, really key to regulating your mood. So if we have a look here at this Venn diagram about the kinds of things that they are in charge of in the brain, we've got dopamine there on the left with working memory, motivation, clarity. You've got serotonin down here with memory, pleasure, pain, relaxations, and norepinephrine is execution, perseverance, recall memory, and the three kind of come together to work together as well. So that's an interesting use of them. Now lastly, we're going to compare amines versus amides, which are very distinctively different, and it's important to know why. So amines just have either H's or alkyl groups coming off them, like we showed before. With amides, you also have a carbonyl group as part of the amide. Okay, so you can see here there's a carbonyl group, which is this C double bond O. You can see it here as well, and you can see it here as well. So if you have that carbonyl group, it is officially an amide and not an amine. And they do like to know that you can distinguish between the two in year 12.